Okay, we're on. Thank you for meeting with me yesterday. I enjoyed observing your class, and I noticed that it's a challenging class. Some of the kids are misbehaving, and it's you have those students, and it's the challenge you have. But I like the way that you walked around the class. You were motioning and you were teaching and helping kids one on one, but at the same time you were taking care of some of the barbed comments that students were making to each other. But I did want to ask you this question about scaffolding.
Yeah.
And you talked about soapstone, which just explain briefly what that is.
Well, soapstone is a pretty simplified way to analyze rhetoric, and so taking the different components, or what I like to call the ingredients of rhetoric, and what I like to do is look at the different aspects of rhetoric, so the subject, the occasion, the audience, the speaker, the tone, and the purpose. And when we are reading either a nonfiction piece or analyzing a piece of writing, we are looking for those different indicators. So soapstone's an easy way to remember what I call the ingredients of rhetoric.
Okay, so concerning soapstone or any other type of scaffolding situations that you offer your students, do you ponder the question that the scaffolding could turn into a way of being a crutch and thereby reducing the level of rigor? How do you balance these issues?
Yeah, this is actually something I've been thinking about a lot recently, and specifically with this idea of modeling in scaffolding, because I do believe that the best way to see student achievement and growth is as they have access to an appropriate model. And so I think soapstone's a good example because, like yesterday, I actually gave them a key that had the correct answer so that they could take their responses and compare them to my responses so they could see if they're on the right track. And so I think that balance between rigor and also too much support and holding them back really comes down to how it is that you're communicating your expectations. And so my goal is to set high expectations for my students, to walk them through what exactly it looks like, say, hey, these are the standards we are trying to meet, this is how we are going to do it, and then wanting to see them actually struggle through it, but to at the end show them, okay, well, maybe you didn't reach what you were trying to do, this is the standard, how can we get there? And so as long as we're not giving them everything from the outset, students need to see an appropriate model, and scaffolding, I think, is the outlet for them seeing what that model looks like.
Do you think there's a difference between your sword class, which is a low-performing CP class, and an honors class? I mean, how would that scaffolding look different, if it would?
You know what? In some ways, yes, definitely, because when it comes to the expectations I have, they're both high. But the level of rigor, or the level of inquiry, I think is really the key, because that's something I've been thinking about a lot recently, is with my honor students, I'm always trying to push them into this independent level of inquiry on a moment-by-moment basis, as opposed to with my CP classes. I think that they need some more time, that we're doing this together so that they can work it out in their own personal endeavor. So I think that's the major difference, but when it comes down to, they all need modeling, they all need the support, they all need those different stepping stones. But sometimes I feel like, others need a little bit more, I guess, for lack of a better term, the hand-holding than just a push. And so and that's a student-by-student basis. It's not even a group-by-group basis, So I think that's how it connects.
I've observed you, and you always give enough time the questions that provoke thought. But in your sword classes, do you find that when you give enough time for students to think, that that's an opportunity for some of the goofballs to kind of get off track and create some distraction?
It all depends on the relevance. I mean, that's what's key, because in an honors class, I could throw out an engaging question and then we're just running, and I can just say, okay, I'm going to give you 30 seconds to think about it, and now we're going into discussion, and now we're going into action, whatever that activity is. My CP class, I feel as though discussion actually, and especially a sword class, discussion is the most important part. And so taking advantage of that time to just allow for more discussion about whatever that question or topic is, trying to find ways to make it more relevant to them, that's what gets them excited. And so as long as the discussion questions are, you know, engaging them to think analytically as opposed to a yes or no type of question, so looking at deeper depths of knowledge, then I actually think it can be more beneficial to have deeper discussion, because kids and adults, we like to talk. And so I think that talking through our ideas helps us to then work it out better.
Okay, thank you so much, Joseph.
Yeah, of course.